Welcome back to another episode of Jam-Packed Business Made Easy with AI, and I'm Flora, your host. Today's episode is a really important one, especially for creatives, freelancers, and anyone trying to turn meaningful work into something sustainable. I'm joined by our friend Tony Rockliff, who brings a refreshingly honest perspective on creative careers, the myths around breaking in, and what actually keeps people working long-term. We talk about systems, expectations, burnout, and where AI genuinely helps instead of adding more pressure or noise. This is less about chasing dreams and more about building something that lasts. Let's dive in. Tony, we made it. How are you today?
I'm okay, thanks. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been a day already, and an eventful year already, but a good one. How's your 2026 starting?
Starting good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then other than calling from outer space, where are you calling from?
Well, as you say, outer space, I just had to get away. I mean, it's been a wild, wild ride.
Yeah, of course.
But when I'm not in space, I'm down a little bit further below in Florida.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Well, that's why we're on the same time zone. I'm actually, I'm in Panama, but only half the year I'm on the East Coast time because we don't do the daylight savings. So fun fact for those who are listening.
Huh.
So Tony, we've had the pleasure of working with you and knowing you and getting to know you. And I still feel like I know so little about you. So how'd you end up in Florida? Tell us a little bit about, who you are and where you are. And then we'll get into your how you're using AI in your life.
Okay. Well, I was in LA for about 25 years.
Okay.
Having come over from England. And some friends of mine moved down here and they said, hey, it's kind of nice down here. Do you want to come check it out? And I kind of did come down and check it out and ended up staying.
Cool. Okay. Well, we missed a few things there. So you grew up in England, and then what brought you to LA? Or what was your life like in England even?
Well, I was started out in the music business when I was, I think, 19 or something like that. And worked with a lot of great people in the 60s in London. Had a blast in studios of one sort or another. And then made a lot of records and things, but this is going to sound really weird.
I'm ready for it. I like weird.
Okay, well, all the time when I was in England as a kid, I always had this real urge to come to America.
Okay.
And I didn't really know much about America because England back then was very insulated. It's like there was England and there were some other places that may exist beyond that, but they didn't really tell us much about that.
Okay.
So anyway, I had this overwhelming urge. And then I got invited to speak at a conference, music business thing in 1978, I think it was. And it was in America.
Okay.
So I thought, great, I'm going to absolutely do this. And it was actually in Florida, as it happens, but we had to go via New York.
Okay.
And as I was flying into LaGuardia Airport, I had this overwhelming sensation of coming home.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I thought that's weird. But then I stayed in New York for a couple of weeks. And as I walked around the streets, I would know what was around the next corner. So for me, America was
felt very connected.
Yeah, It was America was very familiar to me, which is why I wanted to come back.
So you mentioned, I like that, come back. You mentioned being in the music industry at 19. How'd you get into the music industry, and what kind of music industry?
It's a bizarre story.
Cool.
First of all, I was raised by Jesuits in a very strict boarding school.
Okay.
And as part of rebellion, I formed a band, which is a terrible thing to do in their eyes.
Okay.
And so I got expelled for forming this band.
Oh.
But my parents, to my horror, got me reinstated, got me back in. So in the middle of the next term or semester, I think you call it, I walked out. And walking out meant a 3-mile hike into the local village and then catching a ride with a truck driver for a 200 mile ride down to London.
Whoa.
And then since I had no money and no nothing, I ended up in this place called Camberwell Reception Centre for Tramps and Vagrants. And while there, I formed a band.
You got it back.
Yeah, with members of Scottish and Irish gangs. And we got this gig in Beirut, in the Middle East.
How?
Through someone we met. Oh, actually, the lead singer of the band had a connection who was a music business manager, and he was Lebanese. So he got us this gig in the hotel owned by his father in Beirut. So anyway, it took us 4 days to get to Beirut because of storms and getting stranded in Nicosia in Cyprus, and then in Bulgaria behind the Iron Curtain, which was a wild experience in itself.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we're doing this. Okay.
Yeah, actually, this whole story is documented on my website with an article called "How Not to Break into the Music Business." And
okay, I'll check it out.
And then what happened was we arrived in Beirut, and that night the Israelis bombed the airport. They wiped out 9 planes, and suddenly we were in a war. And we looked in our contract for, in the small print, couldn't find anything about being bombed by Israelis or anything like that. But it was very interesting because we were the only English or foreign band in the land. And so for the next 6 months, we kind of were treated like gods when we weren't being bombed. And
oh my goodness. Well, did you perform? Did you get to perform?
Yeah.
Wow.
First 3 months, 3 months in the hotel, and then 3 months in the clubs. And what happened was we finally managed to escape. And the story behind that is really wild. It involved night raids on the police station to get our passports back and all sorts of stuff, and bribing the people in the airport. And anyway, we managed to escape. And when we came back, this is a long answer to your question.
No, I'm here for it. This is what we're doing.
Okay. When we came back, our manager said, "Hey, we want you to make a record." And we said, "Okay, great." Never, had never done that, never been in a recording studio or anything.
Yeah.
So we drive out to this recording studio in London. And when I walk in the door, I go, "Oh my God, I'm home." Because it was like a kid in a candy store. It's like, oh my God, this is stuff where I can really create things. So at the end of the session, I went up to the owner of the studio and I said, "Hey, if I hang around and sit in the back, you don't have to talk to me, you don't have to teach me anything, but if after a month I've picked it up and I can actually do a session, will you hire me?" And he said, "You're nuts." And I said, "Yeah, but will you?" And
yeah.
He agreed because he didn't have anything to lose. So a month later, I get my first session with a band called Sounds Incorporated, who were the brass section on the Beatles' Good Morning, Good Morning.
Cool.
It went great. And then, so I started out as a recording engineer.
Okay.
But then I started creating stuff because there were instruments around the studio and friends to work with and all sorts of different, and all the equipment. And one day, I was working on something, actually the first record I ever made, and a couple of very well-known, successful singer-songwriter producers came in the studio and said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, something I'm working on." And they said, when it's done, give us a copy and we might be able to do something." And I kind of forgot about it and gave them a copy. But a month later, I had the equivalent of 20 grand in my pocket as an advance on the record. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's
And at this point, how old are you? Like 21?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said, there were instruments around and you put them together. Does that mean you know how to play those instruments?
Well, some of them weren't instruments. Some of them were just us hitting a chair with a piece of wood for the drums. But
wow,
I mainly play guitar. But yeah, and so I started producing records for all sorts of different record companies, and that's how I got into that.
Crazy. And then so you're still involved in the music industry, and then you're also in this AI world. So make that leap for us, please.
Okay. Well, what happened was when I came to the States, in England, I was working mostly with British bands, rock bands, and all sorts of different artists, Cat Stevens and many, many others. But when I came to the States, I was working more with Motown people.
Okay,
And I set up my own studio in Hollywood called Classic Sound
cool.
and, and had a really, really great time with that. But
Awesome.
then, but then somebody called up and said, "Do you do video?" And I said, "Yes." Figuring I could learn it on the first job, but I'm still learning.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
But
Okay.
but yeah, so I started doing video as well as audio.
So video production
Yeah, and then
in the music space, or is that just what kind of video?
all kinds of video,
Okay.
all kinds. But then what happened next that kind of ties in with that is we the internet. Oh, actually, what happened was somebody I'd been doing video for about I think 6 months or something like that, and I get this call that says, "Hey, we'd like you to do a video for us." And I go, "Great, what's it for?" And they say, "The internet." And
Okay.
I said, "What's that?" Because this was 1995,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what the internet was.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, you better go and check this thing out. Come on over." So I spent a couple of hours over at their offices having my mind blown by this thing called the internet. But the internet then was just text and blue links and occasionally a picture if you got lucky. You had to click a lot of links before you found a picture. It was very early days. Web browsers had just started. And myself and my business partner spent the next couple of months surfing around the web, meeting all sorts of people around the world, getting so much from this massive community that we felt as artists was like just available to us to create whatever we liked on. And so we started looking about what can we give back to the community? What can we put on the internet that isn't there? And we started with basically a directory of the best internet sites that we'd found.
Okay.
And then we realized, wait a minute, this could fit into the metaphor of a town because the music sites could be the music hall, the literary sites could be the library, the shopping could be in the shopping mall, etc. And we kind of got this idea for putting a town, and there weren't any towns on the internet. So we thought, okay, let's do that. And then we said, well, let's do something different. Let's make it so that we can create anything we like. So we made it 100 years in the future. So which gave us,
What way?
pardon?
In what ways?
Visually and in the next part that I'm going to cover.
Okay, 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 okay.
Because what we did actually is we decided to shoot ourselves in the foot by creating it in multi-user 3D virtual reality,
Oh,
which,
wow.
which back then the modems were so slow that we had to develop incredibly potent compression technology to get video and images and music and 3D, where people could interact with other people around the world and see and hear what they were doing and move around.
And you just learned this through learning it,
Yeah.
through your experience in the video world at this point.
Yeah, and out of necessity. And we partnered with a company in Germany that had the underlying technology. And by that time, we had the eyes, we had the people coming to our community. So we said, hey, let's work together. So they gave us this technology, which back then cost $250,000, which we didn't have. So it turned out to be really great, and it made them multiple millions of dollars because we became a showcase for them. But how this ties in with your question about AI is that
I still have so many questions. Wait, what was the name of your community?
well, can I share my screen?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, let me find just real quickly a.
A lot of people just listen, so they might not be able to see it. But we can talk through it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to Yeah, I'm going to share it in a moment. I just
Okay.
found it. And let me get the share screen section.
Yeah. And while you do that, because I know you can multitask. So at this point, you're diving into this world of video. Are you still in the music industry at this point? I imagine so.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I've never really left music because it's my first love.
And then you have a business partner. How did your business partner come around?
Back then,
Yeah.
because he was an incredible, is an incredible graphic designer.
Wow. And
And
this is from the 90s. No way.
this is from 95. And people would, who were used to text and blue links, would suddenly come across this, which was animated and it had audio. And this section was animated and there was things flashing and going on. And what happened was they would log in and like it and tell their friends, particularly kids, because it was pretty wild. And that was kind of good and bad because what happened was we had like all these different 3D VR places, and we had 100 different VR chat rooms with 1,000 new people a day coming into the community, asking all the questions that new people to a community ask. And we couldn't be in 100 chat rooms simultaneously. So I'd heard about AI because it had been around since like the 40s and 50s, but I didn't really know much about it. But I wondered, could we build, I guess, what we would call back then a chat bot who could sit in the chat rooms and answer all those questions simultaneously? And we found we could. So we built Mina. Can you see my mouse moving?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Mina. And she became really popular because she developed a sense of humor and a personality, and she had a lot to do with our success. And I fell in love with AI. I said, hey, this is amazing stuff. And we got a lot of international press at the time because what we were doing.
Wow, Tony.
Yeah. And now, of course,
Cybertown.
yeah, now I've kind of gone full circle and have a community helping people learn AI, which I'm
Yeah.
stop sharing.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So let me just from London, breaks out of school, goes on kind of this like wild adventure,
Yeah.
finds the music industry, even though you've always had this love for music. From the music industry, you make connections, then you land in the video world. And then through that, you gain this technical hands on experience that leads you to explore a relationship with AI.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then how that happened going forward is that AI kind of started encroaching into the video and music area 5 or 10 years ago, because a lot of the tools used in those industries were kind of built or controlled with AI. So it kind of kept me in the area of AI. And then, of course, 3 years ago, when ChatGPT came out, everything changed. And so I got very involved in current day AI and building apps and building.
So, since you can read the like tell the future, will you just like give us a heads up what's happening with AI?
Well, it's changed. I mean, 6 months ago, it was pretty easy to keep up with it because there'd be one major breakthrough a week. Now there's three a day. So things are changing just so fast. And basically, it's going in the direction, as you probably know, of what they call agentic AI, which is more and more tools doing things for us using
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what do you see this growing into?
Which what?
The agentic AI. What do you see that like forming into?
Well, I mean, there's just so many areas that it can. The thing about AI is, I got asked that just this morning by someone new to AI, well, what can AI do? And it's like now it can do so many
Wow.
the things. It's almost like, what can't AI do?
Yeah.
And there's going to be people coming up with ideas that none of us have ever thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come up with a few myself in the last month that I'm working on building now. They come to me in the middle of the night and I go, "Oh my God." And then I go into Manus and we have long conversations about them and explore their
Wow.
viability and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. I mean, funnily enough, I mean, you know AI, and probably the people watching this know AI, and there's an amazing number of people who don't. It's the majority right now, but that's going to shift.
Well, it's interesting to me. I'm so fascinated on this like spectrum, right? Because I I wouldn't say I know AI. I would say I work alongside someone who really does, and I really love learning how people vary in their. I mean, like you would talk circles about AI around me, right? And that's fine by me, right? But I find it very interesting that we're in this place now where some people still haven't used ChatGPT and others, are over here. I don't even know, doing way more advanced stuff than that. So Tony, I had to ask you. So when you're not doing music, when you're not doing video, when you're not doing tech, what do you do? What do you do for you?
Well, I love movies. I love music. I like hanging out with friends, all the usual things that we all like.
Right
And,
on.
but I just realized, just when you asked about where things are going,
Yeah.
one thing is that just this last week, a tool came out in the video area that Hollywood is really concerned about now
Oh wow.
because it gives everyday mere mortals like us the ability to go in and be full-blown film directors and film
Wow.
cinematographers and everything. We can choose our cameras, choose our lenses, choose the AI, have the AI create exactly what we want to create, and what comes out is cinematic quality video.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so that's going to shift the film industry dramatically. And at
Wow.
the same time, the music AI tools have come leaps and bounds. I was working last month with a songwriter who's a very successful. He's written, I mean, hundreds of hit songs for writers, for artists all over the world. And he recently re-signed a new publishing contract. And he's got a lot of old demos done 20 years ago that he was looking at kind of bringing up to date to present to the publishing company. And he said, can AI do anything about that? So we pulled up an AI tool and we put in one of his demos from 20 years ago that was kind of a little bit jazzy, very dated. It was kind of Jason Mraz. Uh, I can't remember the name of the other guy who's a similar guy. But anyway, oh yeah, Bobby McFerrin. And so we fed it to the AI and said, hey, can you bring it up to date? And the AI did, but it didn't change too much. It just kind of tightened it and etc. And then we said, okay, look, I know you're trying to keep the spirit of the original, but just go for it. Make it in your face, radio ready 2025. And it said, okay. And it blew our socks off
Wow.
with what it did. It made a radio ready. I mean, everybody who's heard it says, my God, that's a hit. Because it is. It just, you can't keep still to it. And so the music business is going to change dramatically as well.
My goodness. So are you afraid? Are you afraid that AI is coming for your job?
No, no. And the same thing, artists shouldn't be afraid either. The artists who are having the most fun are the ones who treat AI as a collaborative partner.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and they get inspiration from AI and they work back and forth with the AI and together they come up with something that's greater than either one of them would come up alone.
Cool. So use it as a tool. So as we round out this call, Tony, this was so fun getting to know you and your story. Outside of ChatGPT, outside of Manus, what are three tools that you think everyone, should start exploring in this moment? And
Wave,
why?
wave speed
Okay.
is one of my favorites because there are a lot of different companies and websites that aggregate lots of video tools and image tools all in one place, and you pay a lesser subscription. I mean, way less. You pay $10 or $20 a month instead of $20 a month for 10 different programs. But the problem with most of them is that they just give you stripped down, really not good versions. That they just don't have the key features that the real things have. But WaveSpeed is quite remarkable in that, number one, it's $10 a month. Number two, the stuff is up to date and does have all the functions that I need, and it's way faster at creating the images and particularly the videos than most of the other tools out there. So for a one-stop video and audio and images, WaveSpeed is fantastic.
Cool. Two more.
Two more. Well, you said I couldn't mention Manus, because Manus is my go-to for most everything.
Okay. Why?
I gave a seminar on it two seminars on it last month, showing how it does everything. And it's not just stripped down versions of other people's, it's its own versions, and they're better. So almost anything you need to do, anything from, the kind of stuff you do with research and kind of stuff you do in ChatGPT or in Gemini, or video or images or presentations or creating full-blown applications. It does everything.
Wow.
And it's phenomenal. And it's just been acquired by Meta.
Oh, wow. Wow. When did that happen?
A couple of days ago.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, because Meta looked at it and said, whoa, this is something different. This is something special.
Wow. Okay. And then what's the third?
Okay, let me see. Now, I want you to pause this part or cut it out of the video, because I'm going to have to think for a second, because there's like 60,000 apps. So I want to narrow it down to, okay, I got it.
That wasn't too long.
Oh, I think it was. But anyway, CapCut is, people know it as this free or $10 a month video editor, but they don't realize that it has 100 different functions built in that take the place of dozens of other high-costing, really expensive apps.
Wow!
And I demonstrated that in Club Jam last week.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'll link to it.
I did 2 seminars on it because it does so much.
Wow. Cool. Well, Tony, I always knew you were very fascinating, and I was excited to get to know your story, and I'm sure, now I'm excited to even dig around your website even more. If someone wants to work with you, what could they do together, and how do they find you?
Well, should I just put a couple of links in the chat?
Let's do it. Sounds good.
Okay, this one is for you, because this is kind of the backstory that we just covered. But to get directly to me is that. But there's also I have an online kind of sister community. Jam and I are going to be working together. I haven't already started, because York's community is more for businesses, right? Small businesses. Mine is for creatives, artists. It's much more. That's why we do a lot of stuff on video and audio and images and stuff. And it's called the AI Connection Club, and I've put that in there.
Cool.
And awesome. Jam and I are going to be doing a lot of cross-pollinating.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Tony. I'll see you on the next Learn with Tony.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks again. I'll see you around. Appreciate your time.
You bet.
Talk soon. Ciao.